Kathy, welcome and thanks for joining us. We're here to talk about your daughter, Anna, who I believe is 23.
She is today, yes.
And Anna started the program, the Fast ForWord program, at 21 and a half. What led to you actually starting to address a perceived problem with her learning at 21?
Well, I suppose to put it in context, Anna is actually moderately intellectually disabled and has been at a special school most of her life, or certainly had assistance with an aid at school, and the whole issue of reading and writing and learning has dogged her for all of her life. So we get to a point where she's left school, can't read. I knew and I thought that she knew her alphabet, but it wasn't until I went to the internet to see what was on at the Sydney Writers' Festival and came across Dr. Norman Doidge's session on the brain that changes itself, that something there resonated with me, not just the chapter on Fast ForWord, but also about how other people's brains that had other differences were able to get them functioning again. So I pursued that. I read his book. I then went to a conference of Dr. Marty Burns in Melbourne and met others that were working through the Fast ForWord program. Their children had other disabilities, and more importantly, I took my daughter to that conference and she said she wanted to learn to read. So we started in May of last year. We started at the very basic level, reading prep, language basics, because even though she'd been through a disability system, special schools, I really had no feel for where her brain was at that time. And quite frankly, what we found is we can now know what she does and doesn't know. It's not threatening for her in the Fast ForWord system to show what she doesn't know, because she just plays the game again. And she gets encouraged. There's absolutely nothing there that tells us she's wrong, she's negative. So as a result, we've certainly finished 3 programs with almost 100% completion, and the ones where you're looking at the percentage accuracy, she's at 91%.
Now, I understand that the one of the initial diagnoses for Anna was ADHD.
That's right.
And then you came across someone who said actually it's not ADHD.
That's
and
right.
I believe you should take a different path. How did you feel when someone confronted you with that information? Well,
it's actually a relief, because in those days, and remember Anna's 23 now, so we're talking about the 90s, the diagnosis of ADHD came with big doses of dextroamphetamine, and we were never, as parents, comfortable with the supply of the dextroamphetamine. So when we were told, look, get rid of the medication and just look at the behaviours and whatever, that's what we did. But of course, that also had an effect, I suppose, in her school system, where she really wasn't concentrating. 7 years of cognitive delay, if you like, as well, using the behaviour modifications. So it really wasn't until she was about 18 and she started, or 19, 20, started to spend far more time with me. And as you can see, I'm a great talker and I never keep quiet. But she started to let me know that she wanted to know what different words meant, that what was that.
Right.
She'd say, that's Bunnings, or that's where that place is. So I was starting to get a feel, if you like, that there was a fog clearing and that she might be capable of moving to a next level instead of just sitting there. I come from a family whose my father died in 1985, brilliant mathematician, and he tried to let us all know that our brain never stopped learning, never stopped making sense of the world. It was just his children that weren't prepared to become as excellent as, say, he was. So that stuck in my mind too. And the Norman Doidge book and Dr. Marty Burns was certainly the two that gave me the confidence. Plus I came across a school that was learning it extensively with all of their reading recovery programs and other individuals.
So how have you seen now, I guess it's about 18 months down the track, what specific things have you noticed that you could perhaps attribute to the Fast ForWord program?
Well, certainly her ability to listen, to then ask questions about what does that word mean or what did someone else mean, and certainly to come home and relate more accurately what happened during her day session. Normally it'd be nothing. I don't know, go away. Because she hadn't probably picked up everything that was happening. Now it's picked up in detail, and the language, certainly her language development has improved. And as I said to you at the beginning of this program, she's now playing games with me on how to pronounce words like obsequious, obstreperous, and she's actually playing that on my adult friends, because some of those people can't say those words.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that actually, because you've been with her so closely now throughout that period.
Yeah.
Have other people noticed?
Well, certainly I've not done the program the full 5 days myself. I think that it's a big load on both the carer and the disabled person, particularly if they're mum and daughter, to actually spend all of the time there. So I've actually had government funding to assist me to do 2 or 3 of those sessions in the 5 weeks. And what that carer has noticed is that my daughter is getting more and more confident. She's certainly noticed that she's able to point out the carer or the support worker's difficulties. On some
is that right?
Yeah. On some of the things she'll say, no, that's not the right picture, because the carer hadn't listened quite, and she was supposed to repeat the instruction that was required. She didn't quite get it right. My daughter's now starting to pick that up. And that gives you an indication of her level of confidence.
And how about the social aspect? Some of her social friends or some of your friends, people who interact with her, have they noticed a difference?
Certainly most of my friends, if they haven't seen her for the last 3 or 4 months, she'll now actively converse with them and do it in not a childish way or a shy way. She'll participate with them in a conversation and sometimes try to start it. And we're just hoping this will be an ongoing developmental thing. I think I mentioned right at the beginning of our interview, we don't see this as just, get it over and done with in the month. We're committed to taking this program with Anna for as long as she wants to do it. So we don't push her to finish any one game. If she makes a mistake, we know the next day now, after doing 15 of the games, that it'll be less difficult for her the next day. And certainly in the end, she'll just zip through it. So her computer skills, her understanding of the game, by the end, she's got it down pat. And that can only, according to the science, mean that her brain is starting to rewire itself. And that's what we're hoping. How far it'll go, we've yet to see.
Yeah. It must be incredibly rewarding when you stand back and watch Anna relating to other people and you see the changes and you're not in the picture, but you're watching the picture. How does that make you? I mean, obviously it makes you feel good, but how do you describe that sort of an emotion?
One of the things you have is when you have a disabled child is this hope that when you're dead, they're going to be able to manage. And the sooner you can see that movement towards independence, to social friendships, to having a great time without you standing there, imposing yourself or your discipline or whatever, it's a fabulous feeling psychologically for the carer when you can see them developing towards some level of independence. And language, to me, is the key to that. Their ability to be able to say what they want, and to then, if they don't get what they want, have the confidence to say it again. I think it's very basic if you're a carer, that is what you want your disabled child to do.
Kathy, it's a wonderful story. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for asking me.